for joining us. Our colleague from Bangladesh as well. Thank you so much. It's just a discussion among ourselves and with the pavilion, right? And we are really happy to have you here, first of all, and thank you very much for joining this discussion. What we are discussing today at the pavilion is something that is happening in the negotiation room as we speak, which is the making of a framework for the global goal on adaptation, right? So it's going to be one of the key outcomes of the COP28, right? What we are discussing today is how do we feel about having water as a key component of this global goal on adaptation, and we've been discussing existing frameworks that already have targets for water, for sanitation, and for the different components of the water, different water dimensions. And we are bouncing ideas here because in the middle of the last session, what we've seen is a draft text that is being negotiated right now, and at 4 o'clock in 15 minutes, the climate negotiators are meeting a couple of buildings away just to start discussing on how to polish this draft decision that it comes with water target. So we have you here, and what we would like to hear is, you know, from your different perspectives, working in different parts of the government, whether it's dealing with managing adaptation strategies, whether it's managing water strategies. So what we want to hear from you is the ideas on what are the opportunities or the challenges that you see which are related to the global goal on adaptation. What could be what could make sense to you in terms of, please welcome to join, signing on targets, and how can the water community support? First of all, and before we go into the questions, I'm going to be introducing you. Please, if you can be, now we have a full panel. So from the State of Palestine, we have Hadil Hisham, who is Adaptation Focal Point, Environmental Quality Agency. We also have with us from Bangladesh, you can please join the, from Bangladesh we have Mohammed Mobaselhur Islam, who is Deputy Secretary for the Ministry of Water Resources. From the European Union, thanks very much for joining us as well. We have Asa Schontrum. I would, no.
You did very well.
Okay, thank you. So it's an adaptation expert, part of the European Union GGA negotiations team, and it's well, it's a real pleasure to have you here to feel how you feel about the negotiations as well. Thank you very much. And from Fiji, we have, again, I won't do justice to your name, but I will do my best. Okay, thank you. We have from Fiji, Taitusi Baka Drabujada. Not perfect, but okay, thank you so much. Principal Secretary, the Ministry of Public Works, Meteorological Services and Transport. And we have Dr. Kalis Munga from the Ministry of Water and Environment, representing Uganda. Thank you so much. We have a very wide representation of different countries impacted by climate change in different ways and manners. And we, as I said at the beginning, we have a good representation of ministries of environment, ministries of water and sanitation. So, and this is a conversation. So the question that I'm posing to all of you is, how do you feel first, and we can continue of course, how do you feel about what is going on right now in terms of the discussions that are taking place a few buildings away from us on the global goal on adaptation, and what does it mean to you and your respective countries and your areas of work? Maybe we can break the ice with a first round of quick thoughts around this. Maybe we can start from this side. Yes? Yeah? Thank you so much.
Okay, is this on? Yeah?
Yeah,
Seems to be
we hear you.
working. Yes, hello. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Åsa Sjöström. I'm from Sweden, and I have worked nationally on adaptation for a very long time, but I'm also part of the EU negotiation team. And the reason I was running late is that we, of course, just got a new text, a draft text for the GGA that we were looking at, and we are going to start negotiations at 4 o'clock. So it's very sort of on...
It's happening now.
Right yes, happening right now. It is very exciting because I think the work on the GGA and the development of the framework really is an opportunity to raise the ambition and to raise the awareness and to strengthen adaptation. And I really do believe that. It gives a chance to not only enhance the action and strengthening the resilience, but to really raise the awareness of adaptation as an issue compared to mitigation. So I do think it's very exciting.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I will apologize because I haven't introduced you. Sorry about that. From the Kyrgyz Republic, Asamat Termikulov. Thank you for joining us. And we are happy to hear your reflections on what is going on with the global goal adaptation and what does it mean to you.
Thank you. The word adaptation for the Kyrgyz Republic is first of all about glaciers. Because glaciers are melting. During the last 30 years, we lost up to 30% of our glaciers. According to the estimation of our scientists, by the end of this century, we risk to lose, according to the worst case scenario, we risk to lose up to 80% of the glaciers. So this is a problem not only for the Kyrgyz Republic, but also for the neighboring countries, especially for the downstream Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. And this is not about the future. This is already the reality of our current days. For example, this summer we had very acute problems with water. And this is happening every year. It's not only this year, but the last several years we have this problem. And it seems that in future this problem will be only get worse. So when we talk about adaptation, we now elaborating our national adaptation plan. And the focus, of course, is made on the water resources. It harms, of course, the environment. It harms also economic sectors like agriculture, because the majority of our population are busy with in the agricultural sector. It also harms energy sector. 95% of the energy of the Kyrgyz Republic coming from the hydro energy sector. And of course, it harms the health of the population, but also the security. So it harms the security in the sense that there are risks of water conflicts in the region, because Central Asia is one of the most populated areas in the planet, and the population, majority of population are busy with agriculture, so they need they consume a lot of water. So because of this, there is a shortage of land, and there is a high risk of water conflict. So we, again, this is not the matter of future. It is already happening now, and it was happening in the previous decades. But it seems that this problem can only aggravate. I hope that not. So this is our reality. And when we are talking about adaptation, of course, we first of all we have to adapt our population, our economic sectors to this problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we will pass the microphone. I'm happy to hear your reflections as well.
Since the COP26 in Glasgow, we were pushing and hoping for better and clear advancement regarding the adaptation goal, and having the conferences in Sharm el-Sheikh, then in Dubai for 2 years in Arab region was very enthusiastic for the Arab group to work and to raise high the priority of adaptation to all the countries who are facing the negative impacts, and they don't have the ability to be resilient towards what's happening on the ground. This year, we face a lot of challenges regarding climate change, which exacerbates and was worse than the expected scenario, because we predicted the scenarios in Palestine, and we have a plan for the adaptation planning according to these scenarios. But what is happening on the ground that makes us regarding climate action and also regarding the political situation and the war in Gaza, all of these make us find a drop of water is very difficult and it's very endangering, because of the water security and agriculture, and securing food security is very important and highly vulnerable issues in the state of Palestine. Water scarcity in Palestine is facing a lot of challenges because of the lack of the ability of resources. So we have zero shares of surface water. We have a very limited abstraction of the groundwater. We have to purchase water with very quantified limit of water. It's not what we need according to our need. No, it's according to some political accord that we have to buy certain amount of water, and the heat stress, the pressure on resources, the destruction and the massive destruction of all the infrastructure of water in Gaza by the moment of speaking, making all what have been invested during the last years is very difficult. So during the past years, we were working on adaptation plan in West Bank and Gaza, and a lot of initiatives regarding water banking. For example, there's a project that was funded from GCF regarding water banking in Gaza. We don't know if this is destructed or not, but it's in danger, and a lot of projects that we heard were destructed. So what was built on to enhance and to make better situation for civilians, for Palestinians, are being hindered and are being totally destructive, and we have to reconsider the plans of the national adaptation plan that was done during the past years. Now we have to reassess what's on the ground, what happened after the war, what is the limit of destruction that happened. So we have to reinvent the wheel again and put a new plans toward adaptation or climate finance, because when we first done those national adaptation plan, that was 10 years ago almost, or starting 10 years ago, and the last assessment was 5 years ago, we assessed what was on the ground. But now the different situations regarding climate change, also the lack of water, we are facing a drought. Palestine was a moderate country with a moderate climate, but now we are facing a drought that made a lot of farmers that noticing that, aware of that, and shifting their normal practices to try to cope what is already happening on the ground. So adaptation is very urgent. Water security, food security are among the top priorities, with many implications on the ground because of the political situation, the occupation, the economic situation. So a lot of challenges every day by day coming up and emerging, and that is pushing toward better and innovative ways of adapting to the accelerating. We expected this, but not to that extent, not to that intensity. Either it's lack of water, or the drought, or the high temperature, the fluctuation of water and rainwater. So this is. We hope that this COP could achieve something on the ground that really concrete, because we need urgent implementation. It's not a normal need. It's an urgent need to adapt and to try to start acting and to try to find solutions to the upcoming events.
Thank you very much. And as you can see, it's not by coincidence that we are hearing from different climate hazards and the needs for adaptation. We have heard from the European Union that it's a constellation of 27 countries facing different climate risk. But then we've moved to hear about glacier melting. We've been talking with a representative coming from one of the most water scarce regions in the world. And we are moving now towards Bangladesh, so that you could imagine what we're going to be talking now.
Thank you. And good afternoon to all. We have a national adaptation plan which is targeted to reduce the climate risk, vulnerabilities, and climate resilient development. As you know, Bangladesh is a delta, and it is most vulnerable for sea level rising, and we are facing the risks and the adaptation policies we have taken. So I work in Ministry of Water Resources. I work with riverbank erosions, which is a very difficult thing for us because we have three big rivers, which is the Jamuna, Padda, and the Ganges, which is the Brahmaputra, which is called in Bangladesh. And there are floods, very much flash floods happening every year, and we are affected by floods. Also in the south, we are affected by cyclone in the Bay of Bengal. So water security, as an agriculture-based country, we need to adapt with the water security management very much. So our ministry works with the to prevent the floods. We have done riverbank erosions. We have done dredgings in the siltation areas in the big rivers. But our fund is very much limited. Last financial year, it was only 7,000 in Bangladeshi taka, crore taka, and it was cut down for the economic crisis of the Ukraine war. We have to cut down our budget again, and we are struggling to implement the Delta Plan, which is Delta Plan 2100, which has been given by our Planning Commission. So it's a very struggling thing for us, and as the most vulnerable area in Southeast Asia, for Bangladesh, we are losing lands in riverbank erosion, and also if the sea level rise and if the global warming continues and the glaciers break, you know that in the north there is Himalayas, and if the glacier breaks and comes, Bangladesh will be half, you know. So we are the most vulnerable region in this port.
Yeah, and thanks for those remarks.
And for water sanitation, we have done a lot of work. In 2019, we achieved 90% of sanitation, but recent year it is, I said the last data yesterday night, it is 60% up, and the fresh water is available for to 3 of 4, but in the north, in the southern area, it is saline water. It's salty water. So people are very much affected with those salty waters, health effects, especially using those water as the domestic use. So Water Resource Ministry has dig some reservoirs to preserve rainwater, but it's not enough for us. So thank you.
Thanks very much for the perspective of a country living on a delta. But from there, we travel not far, well, far in the map, yes, but into a close reality of sea level rise and the impacts of sea level rise in the small development island states.
Thank you for having me in this panel. First of all, I'd like to put the perspective right for Fiji. Whenever we hear about small island developing states, we think about there's no rivers in the country. But Fiji is a different sort of nation when you compare to small island developing states. We have large rivers in Fiji. So our problem is both in terms of sea level rise in the coastal areas, in the small islands. That is one issue that we have. So in terms of adaptation, I think relocation is one of the things that needs to be organized in terms of sea level rise. Yeah? The frontage of the shore is being washed away, and actually currently now when sea level high tides, it's really entering into the village. So that's one part of the problem in terms of the sea level rise, and that is across all the islands in Fiji. Now, another part is in terms of the large islands. We have larger islands too, and we have islands that have large rivers. Initially, before the roads were made, customary people lived along these riverbanks. This created for transportation and food and also use of the water in these riverbanks. But in terms of the current situation that we have now, there is a high level of floods that is coming in. And for these floods, the floodplains are being flooded, and there is a riverbank erosion issues, similar to Bangladesh. That's a big issue. So we have those cross-cutting issues in Fiji, not only in a small island developing states, like where there is no large rivers. In Fiji, it's a unique situation. We have the problem on the sea level rise, on the coastal erosion issues, and also we have the riverbank protection issues and other flood mitigation issues. We have also our deltas. It is not compared to the Bangladesh sort of scope, but those are some similar issues that we have with Bangladesh in terms of the sea level rise. The intrusion of salt water into the agricultural land. That is one issue, and I think it's cross-cutting with these two countries. Yeah. The intrusion of salt water into agricultural land under the Land and Water Resource Management Department of Fiji. They put in sort of mitigation measures like floodgates and all those things that stop intruding of salt water. But the level of salt intrusion into large rivers where water is being sourced for drinking is something